guys, welcome to my channel. In this video I want to go over the pros and cons of cat breeding. I breed Maine Coons and I am a new breeder, so I haven't produced any kittens yet, but I have learned a lot and experienced a lot of the effects of cat breeding already, mainly because it is a very slow process. It takes at least a year to kind of get things going and get started, but most of the time it does take longer than that. Most people get their breeding cats as kittens, so you're waiting for them to grow up, and in the meantime you're studying on all the things that you need to know to prepare for kittens on the ground. Also, I know that in this video I will be listing quite a bit of cons and only a couple pros, but I promise that doesn't mean that I don't love what I'm doing. It's just the reality of breeding, and at the end of the day the pros do really outweigh all the cons, and if they didn't I wouldn't choose to be doing this. My passion for the breed and bettering the breed makes everything worth it in the long run. My whole goal for this channel is to be very transparent with my viewers and to maybe offer some advice or help to those who are starting their breeding journey or considering going into breeding. Because when I was first starting out, it was really difficult to find real, raw, transparent advice from breeders. Sometimes I feel like breeders can be a little bit secretive about the ins and outs of how they operate their breeding cattery. I also know what it's like to be a potential buyer of wanting to buy a pedigree cat and wanting to know the ethics of how a breeder is operating and how they're taking care of their cats, and wanting to know all of that before deciding to go ahead and purchase a kitten from that breeder. So my channel is also about helping those potential buyers to understand the ins and outs of breeding and kind of just open up and shed light on that so that you can go ahead and make a educated choice on which breeder you do want to go with, because it is important to pick a breeder that matches with your morals and your ethics. I plan on making a lot of informative videos about Maine Coons in general and just documenting my whole process as a new breeder. So if that is something that you're interested in, then go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the video. So we're gonna start off with the pros, and the first one would be being able to experience the breed. There was once a time where I could only dream about having even one Maine Coon, and now I get to have multiple and form relationships with each of their unique personalities. Before getting my first Maine Coon, I followed so many Maine Coon accounts and was so mesmerized by them, and now just flash forward a few short years and I get to live with 4 of them. Number 2 would be being able to love each cat and see each personality shine. It has been such a wonderful process, and I've learned so much about not only each of their individual quirks and needs, but also just about the Maine Coon breed in general. Every day I feel so lucky to be able to raise up these cats in my home. They have my whole heart, and I couldn't imagine life without having a Maine Coon. And number 3 would be being able to give other families the experience of having a Maine Coon. I'm just so in love with and passionate about this breed, and it's so amazing to be able to give a family their first ever Maine Coon and to watch them fall in love with the breed in the process. Okay, moving on to the cons. The first one would have to be the mess. There is always something that needs to be cleaned. Intact cats are also messier than altered cats, especially the males. They spray their urine, and their urine smell is a lot more concentrated than an altered cat. It has a very specific, distinct smell that is so strong. I can immediately smell if one of my cats sprayed in the house as soon as I walk inside. And just having a lot of cats in general is messy. The fur, the toys they throw all over the house, the litter. I'm always constantly vacuuming, mopping, cleaning up litter. If I'm gone for 6 to 8 hours that day, I have to get to cleaning as soon as I get home. It also takes a lot of effort to keep my house smelling fresh and clean and not like cat. We have to have a lot of windows open and air purifiers on at all times in order to keep our house smelling fresh. Con number 2 would be the anxiety that comes with wondering if your cat is sick. just figuring out why they have diarrhea all of a sudden, if that sneeze was a symptom of something bigger, trying out new foods and realizing it caused a stomach upset. And when you have multiple cats, it can be difficult to keep it all under control sometimes. I'm also a little bit paranoid as a new breeder, so I feel like I'm just rushing to the vet at every slight symptom. The third con would be having to eventually rehome your studs or queens who you formed deep bonds with. Now, since I'm still new, I haven't had to do this yet, but I already know it's going to be so difficult. I've had some people tell me that they couldn't be a breeder because it would be so hard to let go of the kittens. But for me, I don't think the kittens will be as hard as my adult cats. Because with the kittens, you go into the mindset that they are not going to be your cats for very long. But when I bring in a stud or a queen, I see them as my cats and my pets. And there's just no way that I can go into that mindset that they aren't my pets, because I believe every cat deserves to be treated as a pet, whether they are a breeding cat or not. It's just one of the sad realities of being a breeder. You can keep a retired adult cat every now and then, but you definitely can't keep all of them. Part of making sure you're staying an ethical breeder is making sure you don't end up with too many cats than you can care for and have time for. Con number 4 would be not being able to travel or go on vacation. I've only been breeding for less than a year, but the thought of ever traveling and leaving my cats in the care of someone else is really daunting. I don't know how I will do it, honestly. There's just so much daily work that goes into caring for them, and they each have their own separate schedules that it's hard to imagine leaving that in the hands of someone else. I will eventually have to figure out a way to vacation every now and then, but the most important thing is just planning vacations around your litters so you're not leaving when a cat is about to give birth or when there's kittens on the ground. But at this point in time, it's not looking like I'll be taking a vacation anytime in the near future. My 5th con is finding the space and proper housing for each cat. This part can get tricky because you have to, 1, keep the males and females separate to avoid accidental pregnancies, and 2, most stud cats do spray, so you can't just leave them roaming the house unless you want your house to smell like that super strong urine smell. And 3, not all studs will get along together, so you usually can't house them together. So the tricky part comes into play when you have to find a perfect balance of housing while still keeping each cat happy and making sure that each cat gets enough love and attention every day and time spent in the house. Again, the goal is to treat each cat as a pet as much as you possibly can. I've found a system that works really well for me and my cats, and that includes my studs wearing diapers in our house so that they can roam freely and get family time with us every day. But it's just all complicated, and you obviously can't have all your cats roaming together at all times like you would in a regular multi-cat pet household. Con number 6 and my last con would be that other breeders can be very nasty and condescending sometimes. I felt looked down on by a few breeders, and just getting into this culture can be tough sometimes. It seems to be mainly a problem in the cat breeding world and not in dog breeding, and the only way that I can make sense of it all is that at the end of the day, I guess we are dealing with a bunch of crazy cat ladies after all, so maybe that does have a role. Going into my very first cat show was not a fun experience at all because some of the breeders were not very nice to me. I do have a good community now, but in the beginning it did really affect me mentally to be so excited about starting something, and for the people that have been doing this for decades to be so rude and condescending to me. So that is all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed these type of transparent videos. Let me know if you do, and if you guys would want me to make more videos like this. I'd love to hear some feedback. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.